These are assembly instructions for my pop-up easel box. I'm starting with this piece, so this is my drawer, and I am folding down on all the score lines for it. All the black pieces in this project have been cut out of craft board. So now that I've folded down on all the score lines, I'm going to take the 4 tabs, one on the left, one on the right, one on the top and one on the bottom, and I'm going to fold them upwards or away from me. So this is going to become a mountain fold. Next I'm going to work on the handle that goes at the front of my drawer, and I have this piece. I have 4 score lines, so I'm going to start on the right hand side. The first score line, I'm going to fold that curved edge upwards. The second score line, I'm folding that one downwards, like so. I'm going to flip my piece over and I'm doing the same thing. The first score line, I'm folding upwards. The second score line, I'm folding down, or a mountain fold. So that's my little handle. I have 2 metal brads. I'm going to insert my brads into those circular cutouts on either end of my handle. And then I'm going to insert my brads into the holes that are on my drawer piece. I'm going to flip my piece over. So I'm looking at the inside of my box. I have a rectangle. It has the same 2 cutouts as my box. And I'm pushing my brads through the holes. And then I'm opening the pins on my brads so that they're nice and flat. And then I have 2 square pieces. I'm covering the underside of them in double-sided tape. And then I'm removing the liner from my double-sided tape. And I'm positioning my square piece on top of one of the brads. And I'm doing that with the second brad as well. So next I have 4 tabs, 2 at the front and 2 at the back. I'm taking the 2 tabs at the back, I'm folding them over into the inside of my box, and I'm covering them in glue. And then I'm lifting the back panel upwards and then raising the side panel to join. And I want the cut edge of the side panel to be right along the score line of my tab. And I'm doing that on both sides. So these 2 tabs are glued down. I'm doing the exact same thing with the tabs that are at the front. I'm folding both tabs inwards and covering them with glue. And then I'm folding my front upwards so that they meet those sides on both sides. And what I like to do here is go with my bone folder, and I'm just applying a little bit of pressure and spreading that glue. I'm doing that for all 4 tabs. So these are the flaps that are on the ends, and these are the flaps that are on the side. So I'm putting glue all over the tabs that are on my side flaps. And then I'm folding my sides inwards, and I'm gluing my tab down on the bottom of the box. I want the inside of the box to be parallel to the outside. So I'm just pushing that tab in a little bit so that my sides are nice and parallel. And I'm doing that on both sides. It's okay if you get a little bit of glue on the bottom. So next I have a piece of decorative cardstock that is going to go on the bottom of my box. So this is the back of my box, and I'm putting glue on the tab. I'm gluing the short edge of my decorative panel to the tab. I'm covering the underside of my decorative panel and that tab in glue. And then I'm kind of curving that bottom panel and gluing it to the tab that's on the front of my box. So I've got that tab that extends just along. I want to make sure that the 2 sides are nice and even. And then I'm going to push that panel down, and I'm positioning it so that the sides for the back and the front are nice and straight. And then I have a frame piece that keeps everything nicely aligned. So I'm putting glue on the underside of my frame piece, and I'm just gluing it down all around that top edge of my drawer piece, trying to center it as best I can, like so. So next I have the box that my drawer fits into, and I am folding down on all the score lines for it. So next I have my wood veneer panels, which I'm going to apply to my box. So I'm using liquid glue. I'm using Art Glitter Glue. It's a high quality liquid glue. Gluing my panels down, trying to keep an even border on the sides and the top and bottom. All right, so that's the outside of my box decorated. I'm going to flip my piece over. I'm folding over on the second score line from the right, putting glue from the score line to the edge on the side tab, and then bringing over the panel from the left side. I want the cut edge of that panel to be right along the score line on the tab where I've just put glue. And then I'm going to fold my box in the opposite direction. It should fold nice and flat. So next I'm going to flip my piece over so that I'm looking at the back of the box. The bottom is full and the top has the cutout. So I'm folding down on the two tabs. I'm putting glue all over them, and then I'm folding up on the panel that comes from the bottom. And I want the cut edges of that panel to be right along the score lines of my tabs. And then I'm putting glue all over that panel. And then I'm bringing the flap down from the top and closing my box. And again, I want those panels to be nice and even on both sides. So this is my easel piece, and I'm folding on the one score line on it. And then I have my veneer piece. I'm being very careful to glue it down above that score line. So I'm putting glue on the underside of my panel. And then I'm just gluing it edge to edge, making sure that my panel is above that score line. And I have a second piece of veneer that I'm gluing right to the bottom. So again, I want edge to edge on the bottom and on both sides. And so next I have my two little hearts, which I'm going to glue down to the front of my easel piece. So this is a piece of foil cardstock. I've applied the two hearts that are cut out of veneer onto the top of the cardstock. I'm just putting glue on the underside of my hearts, and I'm just gluing those down. So I have my drawer, my box, and my easel, and I have the mechanism for my easel piece. It has 3 score lines on it. I'm folding down on those score lines. The first score line is a mountain fold, so I'm folding down, and the second one as well, and the third one is a valley fold. So my piece looks like this. The last panel of my mechanism is quite a bit smaller than the others. I'm putting glue all over it. I'm taking my box and I'm inserting it right to that score line. I'm just going in from that front opening and I'm gluing my piece down. There's a little gap on the left and on the right hand side. I want this centered as much as possible. And then I'm going to insert my drawer. I want to make sure that it opens and closes nicely. And then I'm going to open it about halfway, and I'm putting glue on that last panel, so from the score line to the end. And then I'm tucking that panel inside my box. And again, I want it centered so there's a little bit of room on both sides of that opening. I'm going inside my box, making sure that it's as straight as possible. I'm applying a little bit of pressure to make sure that my glue takes. I'm waiting for my glue to dry. So now when the drawer is shut, this panel lays flat, and when you pull the drawer open, this panel pops up. I have another piece of black cardstock that I'm adding to my mechanism now that it's in place, and I'm just gluing it just under that score line. I want the edges to be nice and flush. So next I'm going to take my easel piece, I'm going to flip it over, and I'm putting glue just on that narrow segment between the score line and the edge. So I'm applying pressure from the inside of my box, just gluing that down to the front of my box. The edges should be even with the edges of my box, and there's a little tiny lip at the front. So next I'm going to put glue all over that panel that I've just glued in on top of the mechanism. And then I'm applying pressure from the back of my mechanism, and I'm gluing my easel down. And so that's the easel box. As you pull the handle, you open the drawer, and the easel pops up.